Well, tonight the group If It Was Your Child and the nonprofit Edison Wetlands Association are raising their own concerns about today's information.
They started asking questions years ago about a rise in cancer cases among children in Johnson County. Tonight, those children are sharing their stories with CBS4's Haley Bull.
This month is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. The National Pediatric Cancer Foundation says 43 kids per day are expected to be diagnosed with the disease. So we're bringing kids in Johnson County who have gotten that news together to share their own stories.
I was diagnosed July 17th.
February 14th, 2017.
Summer 2014, so I was 13 years old.
When I was like two years old.
These kids are part of a club no one wants to be in.
Went to Riley Hospital. Got diagnosed.
A club they can recall the exact moment they joined.
We started to see a larger bump in my left leg.
I was really tired. I had a lump in my neck.
I had a brain tumor.
Owen, Grant, Zane, Chase, Cooper, Lena, Zach, Elena, Athena.
We can relate to each other.
These are the faces of pediatric cancer.
I mean, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to cope with that, this happened.
It honestly just makes you think, why are there so many? Why do people have to go through this pain? There's no reason for it.
They wanted to come here to share their stories. Some are meeting each other for the first time, but already understand what they've each gone through.
It's kind of cool, interesting, and strange at the same time. Because you get to see other people that have gone through the same thing you have.
Their diagnoses include thyroid cancer, a brain tumor, leukemia, Ewing sarcoma, and with each diagnosis means years of chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries. Today, some are in remission, some still under treatment.
This one was when I had lost all my hair. That was my favorite animal to sleep with.
I was getting blood here.
This is after inpatient stay, after getting chemo.
This bear sat in my chair the whole year, most of it.
I actually had a bear in my chair too.
Linking these kids beyond their tough battles, they all live or have spent significant time in Johnson County.
For me, honestly, it's gotten so bad that when you hear, oh, another kid's gotten diagnosed at this school, it's just like another day.
Some parents are on a mission to figure out why.
Every time a kid gets diagnosed, our hearts just break. Our stomachs sink.
Zane's stepmom, Stacy Davidson, and Carrie Reinhart, whose daughter, Emma Grace, died at 13 from brain cancer, started the group If It Was Your Child to seek answers.
How do I not put up this fight when she fought so hard?
Johnson County's pediatric cancer rate is higher than state and U.S. rates, but it's not the highest in Indiana. To date, the Indiana State Department of Health has not found a pediatric cancer cluster there or any type of cancer cluster in the state. These parents disagree. If It Was Your Child counts 57 cases of pediatric cancer in Johnson County since 2008, 24 of them in Franklin.
I think it's good to get more awareness and to get people aware, it's a problem.
What's the problem?
There's too many kids.
Yeah.
Too close together. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, like Chase was saying, it happens all the time, and it's odd. It shouldn't be happening all the time.
So some parents want to know whether there is anything in the environment at play. They have questions about these sites in Franklin with documented past contamination. It includes the former Webb well field, part of a state-led cleanup. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management says water from the wells was never considered unsafe for public consumption. And then there's the former Franklin Power Products and Amphenol site. It dates back decades, but since the 90s, the EPA has overseen a cleanup. Now, the city of Franklin, IDEM, and the EPA are doing more testing and more investigating at the sites and areas nearby. And in D.C.,
Trevor's Law has not yet been implemented. That's why I'm offering
a simple amendment.
The U.S. Senate passed legislation in part providing $1 million to implement Trevor's Law, dealing with the investigation of potential cancer clusters.
I don't want another single kid to have to go through what we went through.
Despite going through what they did, they're kids that still have hopes and dreams like any other.
I want to be a cosmetologist.
I want to be a police officer.
What I want to be when I grow up as an actor.
I want to be a chef, and I like to stay home and sleep.
Kids who want to be known as more than their cancer, that despite their pain and heartache,
You've got to find the good in it and try and show it to other people.
offer a sense of hope for each other and other kids fighting.
Try not to worry and everything's gonna end up okay.
If It Was Your Child says it's working on a way for people to anonymously report adult cancer cases as well. Reporting in the newsroom, Haley Bull, CBS 4 News.
Haley, thank you. Today, the U.S. Senate passed legislation providing $1 million to Trevor's Law to track cancer clusters. It heads to the House of Representatives next week.
These are the results right here from the testing of 14 homes in Franklin. It shows a positive hit for some contaminants in some of the homes, and that's something parents say is concerning.
It's horrible, because you can't do normal kid stuff.
14-year-old Athena Velasquez was forced to grow up fast with a leukemia diagnosis at 11 years old.
My daughter is not statistically insignificant. The other children that have passed are not statistically insignificant.
Her family, like others, want to know what's behind it. They're part of the group If It Was Your Child, co-founded by the mother of Emma Grace Finley, who passed away from cancer, and the stepmom of Zane Davidson, who was also diagnosed. Today, on what would have been Emma Grace's 17th birthday, they're moving a step forward in their fight.
So overwhelming, and it's part of it's validation, because we've been at this for almost 3 years with no one paying attention and no one listening.
They're working with Edison Wetlands Association. The nonprofit coordinated more than $20,000 worth of testing for contaminants in 14 homes in Johnson County, prompted by questions about 2 sites in town. The results?
Out of the 14 homes we sampled, we found detections of volatile organic compounds in 6 of the homes.
The group says higher levels of radon were found in 6 homes and higher levels of TCE were found in 3.
What's apparent to us is that it may be more of an ambient air problem in that the outside air outside of these homes is contaminated.
The city of Franklin said it received the results. The mayor has a previously scheduled meeting this week to discuss these issues with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management and the State Department of Health. But in the meantime, the Velasquezes say they want to get their home tested too and see something done.
So nobody else has to go through this because it's horrible.
It's been a roller coaster of emotions up and down.
That run for Jennifer Clark started with this report from Edison Wetlands Association and Mundell & Associates. She's home number 13.
It found that we had high levels of VOCs, higher than what it would be in an industrial environment, which was a little shocking to us, first of all, and then it was concerning to us.
Concerns about where it's coming from, the safety of the air, her family members, and her daughter Chelsea, who went through 3.5 years of treatment for leukemia.
Try to live our lives day to day, but in the back of our mind, there's still that, is our house safe? These, VOCs were found in our home. Is this every day that they're here?
So now, a search for answers.
We are here to collect more data, but we're also here to show the community a path forward.
EWA and Mundell & Associates are taking samples from 8 homes in Franklin this week, looking for any volatile organic compounds. That includes resampling the Clark's home.
They're leaving this community to hang, and the community needs to know that they need to be active.
A firm hired by the city of Franklin says there were higher levels of VOCs found near a sewer line just south of the former Amphenol site. The EPA is requiring Amphenol to investigate any contamination. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management has said there's no specific widespread environmental concern, but pledges to retest 3 homes from Mundell's report. It said no chemicals of concern were found at 1 home, and it's arranging dates to sample another and the Clarks. But for now,
it's a little confusing. Based on the test results that we received, we are pretty far from the sites that they're referring to. So it makes me question why our level's so high.
The Clarks will wait to see what these tests say.
Knowledge is power. do your research.
In Franklin, Haley Bull, CBS4 News.
The EPA is revealing new details about its investigation into contamination in Franklin. It's looking at the former Amphenol site and neighborhoods south of it. The EPA has overseen a cleanup there for decades. CBS4's Haley Bull is learning more.
You can see all the data the EPA is sharing with community members here through these maps. Right now, it's trying to define the extent of the problem.
It's more than data, it's people.
Community members are listening, asking questions, and looking for answers from the U.S. EPA, updating them on its work in Franklin.
I didn't know if you guys were going to test areas that are low-lying, flood-prone, floodway areas.
My question is, what about beyond that?
You might not like the answer, but I can assure you that it will be an honest answer and it will be one based on data. Okay? And so, please, have some patience with us.
The agency says it's found evidence material migrated into the neighborhood south of the former Amphenol site, potentially through the sewer system.
It is not at levels that have required us to pull in anyone to do immediate cleanup, but there are levels of concern in a number of areas.
The EPA says there are more than 30 priority homes it wants to sample, though not everyone is granting access. It says it's found chemical gases in the subslabs under a couple homes.
We're finding no evidence of any kind of vapors that would pose a risk to anyone's health in the homes themselves.
The EPA has overseen an investigation at the former Amphenol site for decades.
We took care of the source area that was on the facility itself, which is where the material was primarily released, but we needed to have gone a little further into the sewer system and tracked where that material might have migrated to, and that's what we're doing now.
The community group, If It Was Your Child, has raised concerns about contaminants and the number of pediatric cancer cases in the area. They say this is a step in the right direction, but want further investigation and further involvement with the community.
It's a problem and it shouldn't be there, and it should be priority number one to get it cleaned up, no matter what, period. But our kids are our catalyst. They drive us, 100%.
The EPA says they'll look at sampling again in a different season, since that can make a difference in results. The mayor of Franklin also says Amphenol has committed to removing any contaminated soil and replace the city sewer near the former site.